Hello and welcome to Sabha TV. This is Breakfast News. I'm Rajya. Let's have a look at the top headlines. Monsoon session of Parliament to begin from today. 18 settings during sessions spread over 24 days. Rajya Sabha chairman seeks cooperation from all parties for a win-win situation. 25 bills on government's priority list, including 6 replacing ordinances. Lok Sabha Speaker says members have assured her of cooperation during session. TDP gives notice for no confidence motion against the centre in the lower house. Gets RJD's support. Fugitive Economic Offenders Bill to be moved. Rahul Gandhi constitutes Congress' highest decision-making body, the Congress Working Committee. Digvijay Singh, Janardhan Dwivedi, Kamal Nath, Sushil Kumar Shinde, Karan Singh dropped. Convenes his first meeting on July 22nd. "34,000 people shifted to relief camps in Kerala following floods due to heavy rains. 2 people killed in downpour in Saurashtra and South Gujarat. Over 3,000 people shifted to safer places. Prime Minister Modi cancelled scheduled visit to the state. And England beat India by 8 wickets to bag the ODI series 2-1. India claims 4 medals on day 1 of Junior Asian Wrestling in New Delhi. Let's start a day with our top story. The monsoon session of Parliament spread over 24 days begins today. There will be a total of 18 sittings in this session that will conclude on August 10. 48 items have been identified for being taken up during the session, including 46 bills and 2 financial items. The Triple Talaq Bill, which was passed by Lok Sabha and is being pending in Rajya Sabha, will be among the top priorities of the government. Election to choose Deputy Chairman of Rajya Sabha will also be taken up in this session, as PJ Korean retired. Know more about the beginning of monsoon session. I'm joined by my colleague Vishal Dhaya. Vishal, thanks for joining us. What would be the priority of the government agenda in this session?
Well, the government has already made it clear, Rajat, that as far as their agenda is concerned, there are several bills which have been pending so far in the previous sessions. Those would definitely be on the priority agenda of the government. Apart from that, bills like Triple Talaq, for which an ordinance was put in place by the government, those would be the ones wherein the government would be, trying to go ahead and push it through to the both houses. And it's pretty much clear from the kind of statements which have come in from several ministers, as well as in the all-party meeting also, that the government is willing to go ahead and have a discussion on the issues being raised by the opposition. That's what the government strategists have pointed out. But in turn, they would want that the House functions smoothly, and the legislative agenda or the legislative business which the government has on its plate, in its list, that is something which is taken up regularly in both houses of Parliament. So clearly, as far as government is concerned, it is quite hopeful and willing to go ahead and have a discussion on issues which are of importance to the opposition, and also hoping that the House will function smoothly, so that all those bills, several of them, which, as I was saying, have been hanging fire since quite a few sessions, they're taken up by both houses.
Right, Vishal. Thanks for joining us. So there we have government willing to have discussion on all the issues provided Parliament functions, and that is what was discussed in the all-party meetings that follow. Now, Prime Minister Narendra Modi on Tuesday chaired an all-party meeting ahead of the monsoon session of Parliament. The meeting was aimed to ensure the smooth functioning of the Parliament, especially after the washed-out budget session this April. The previous session was a near washout with less than 10% productivity in both the houses.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi sought the cooperation of all political parties to ensure the smooth functioning of both houses of Parliament during its monsoon session. The Prime Minister on Tuesday chaired an all-party meeting where he asked leaders to raise their issues in the houses as people expected them to do so.
विपक्ष सदन चलाते हुए ये सारे मुद्दे उठाएंगे, हर विषय पर चर्चा करेंगे बहस करेंगे और प्रश्न खड़ा करेंगे, विमर्श करेंगे, परामर्श करेंगे, तो उससे सरकार को भी पुनर्विचार करने के लिए और आगे बढ़ने के लिए मौका मिलता है।
Union Minister Anand Kumar said the outcome of the meeting was positive. He assured the government is ready to talk on all issues and find a solution.
प्रस्ताव विपक्ष और बाकी पार्टियां लेके आए, कोई सवाल लेके आए, हर सवाल का जवाब देने के लिए और उसके बारे में चर्चा करने के लिए, हर प्रस्ताव का सामना करने के लिए मोदी सरकार तैयार है।
The monsoon session will start from Wednesday and continue till August 10th. It will have 18 sittings. 68 bills are pending in Parliament. The government has placed 25 bills on priority list. 6 bills replacing ordinances, namely the Fugitive Economic Offenders Ordinance 2018, the Criminal Law Amendment Ordinance 2018, the Commercial Courts Commercial Division and Commercial Appellate Division of High Courts Amendment Ordinance 2018, the Homeopathy Central Council Amendment Ordinance 2018, the National Sports University Ordinance 2018, and the Insolvency and Bankruptcy Code Amendment Ordinance 2018. The opposition also wants to raise several issues during the monsoon session.
पंजाब सेंट्रल यूनिवर्सिटी के जो वैकेंसी निकली हैं, रिटर्न हुआ है, सारी पोस्ट जो हैं वो प्रोफेसर्स, एसोसिएट प्रोफेसर्स, असिस्टेंट प्रोफेसर्स की सब अनरिजर्व पोस्ट हैं। कि वो बताए कि देश की इतनी बड़ी आबादी के साथ क्यों इस तरह की नाइंसाफ़ी हो रही है।
मैं समझता हूं कि जो सभी राजनीतिक दलों को विश्वास प्रधानमंत्री जी ने दिलाया है, उसके मुताबिक दिल्ली का भी विषय देश के सर्वोच्च सदन में चर्चा में आएगा और देश के संघीय ढांचे को जो खतरा पैदा हुआ है उसका विषय भी चर्चा में आएगा।
Home Minister Rajnath Singh, Congress leaders Anand Sharma and Ghulam Nabi Azad, NCP leader Sharad Pawar and CPI leader D. Rajya were among those who attended the meeting. Arvind Singh's report for Rajya Sabha TV.
Rajya Sabha Chairman M. Venkaiah Naidu held first meeting during the last 1 year with Rajya Sabha floor leaders ahead of the monsoon session. He urged the ruling and the opposition parties to put an end to the blame game for House disruptions. Chairman Naidu stressed the government alone wasn't responsible for House functioning, rather it was a shared responsibility. He sought cooperation of all sections for a productive monsoon session and assured that all issues will be allowed under rules. 8 ministers and 23 leaders of 20 parties attended the meet.
Expressing concern over the declining confidence of people in Parliament, Rajya Sabha Chairman M. Venkaiah Naidu asserted on Tuesday that smooth functioning of the House is a joint responsibility of all sections of the House. He urged all parties and leaders to ensure a win-win monsoon session and sought their cooperation. Referring to the previous Rajya Sabha session, Chairman Naidu said, "No party can bring the House to a standstill," while insisting on the government's response, even as the members and parties have a right to seek such a response. The better way would be to talk it out, walk out or vote out. If the government of the day is found to be unresponsive to genuine issues, it should be taken to the people instead of forcing adjournment of the House through persistent disruptions. Referring to feedback from the people during his tours across the country during the last 11 months, Chairman Naidu said that people are distressed over non-functional parliament. He also referred to a recent survey in which people have expressed their lack of trust and confidence in parliament and political parties. Noting that parliament is a part of the political system, Chairman Naidu urged the leaders not to allow the coming election season in the country derail the House. He said Parliament is the best forum to articulate different viewpoints and should be made effective use of instead of allowing political consideration play out in the House. Former Prime Minister Dr. Manmohan Singh observed that all the leaders endorsed the concerns and sentiments expressed by Chairman Naidu. Kriti Mishra, Rajya Sabha TV.
Lok Sabha Speaker Sumitra Mahajan has urged members not to disrupt proceedings, saying it stalls important legislations and gives the country a bad name. Speaking after the all-party meeting convened by her ahead of the sessions, she said people often ask her about frequent disruptions during her visits abroad. Mahajan said members have assured her of smooth functioning of the House. Mahajan had last week written to members of opposition parties expressing concern over frequent disruptions and had asked them to introspect.
मुझे आश्वासन तो मिला है सबका कोऑपरेशन का, तो लेट अस होप कि अच्छे से चलेगी आने वाली पार्लियामेंट। 18 दिन वर्किंग डेज जिसको कहते हैं वो वर्किंग डेज मिलेंगे। 108 घंटे का समय है बाकी सब उसमें से क्वेश्चन आवर और 0 आवर का सब समय निकाले तो करीब 62 घंटे गवर्नमेंट के बिजनेस के लिए मिल जाते हैं। जो भी बिल सामने आएंगे उस पर चर्चा करेंगे। कोशिश करेंगे कि जितने भी मामले आएंगे मेंबर्स चाहेंगे तो मैंने कहा है अगर सुचारू रूप से चली तो ज़रूर हर मुद्दा कहीं ना कहीं चर्चा में आ जाए, इसके लिए हम प्रयास करेंगे।
Now, the TDP has given a notice for no confidence motion against the NDA government in Lok Sabha. Party MPs Srinivas Kesaneni and Thota Narasimhan have given the notice to Lok Sabha Secretary General to include it in the revised list of business for today. The Rashtriya Janata Dal has come out in support of TDP's proposed no confidence motion. A TDP delegation met RJD Chief Lalu Yadav at his residence in Patna, after which the announcement was made. The BJP has appointed Anurag Thakur, its MP from Hamirpur in Himachal Pradesh, as party's new chief whip in Lok Sabha. Thakur replaces Rakesh Singh. He was recently made Madhya Pradesh BJP president and is busy with the election strategy in the poll-bound state. Meanwhile, the NDA had also held a meeting to plan a joint strategy for the monsoon session of Parliament. The meet was attended by Prime Minister Modi and other key alliance leaders. During the meeting, all party leaders praised Prime Minister Modi for the achievements of the government under his leadership. The leaders also hailed India's economic growth under the NDA regime.
सभी एनडीए के हमारे सहयोगी दलों ने किया और माननीय प्रधानमंत्री जी अपने मार्गदर्शन में समापन में उन्होंने ये पूरा श्रेय ये एनडीए के सबको मिलना चाहिए, सभी घटक दलों को और सभी सांसदों को। ये एनडीए का कामयाबी है।
The Congress party claimed on Tuesday that opposition parties will bring the no confidence motion against the government during the monsoon session of Parliament, which begins today. The party also demanded removal of the EVMs and sought the use of ballot papers in the electoral process.
Leader of Lok Sabha Mallikarjun Kharge on Tuesday said that all opposition parties had agreed to work together to bring a no confidence motion against the government.
All party meeting में गुलाम नबी आज़ाद जी के नेतृत्व में डिस्कस हुआ और उसमें सभी लोग थे और उन्होंने माना और वोट ऑफ नो कॉन्फिडेंस के लिए भी उन्होंने माना है। इसीलिए वोट ऑफ नो कॉन्फिडेंस भी हम मूव करने का एक विचार किए हैं।
The party also claimed that there was an urgent need to do away with EVMs and pressed to revert to the old system of ballot papers.
EVM machines, that we should go back to the original system. We should do away with this EVM system. The people have lost the confidence in EVM machines. And this is what we had decided yesterday also in all party meeting unanimously, that this is another area of great concern.
The Congress has drafted a list of several issues to be raised during the monsoon session. These include lynching, unemployment, farm distress, women's safety, situation in Jammu and Kashmir, and India's foreign policy. Kriti Mishra, Rajya Sabha TV.
Now, seeking to corner the Congress on the issue of women empowerment, the government on Tuesday urged it to join hands with the passage of bill in the women's reservation, triple talaq and nikah halala in the parliament. Law Minister Ravi Shankar Prasad said that in response to a letter by Congress Chief Rahul Gandhi to Prime Minister Modi, Gandhi had on Monday written to Prime Minister to bring the bill on granting 33% quota to women in Lok Sabha and state assemblies. Prasad also attacked the previous UPA government for letting women's reservation bill introduced by it lapse. He said despite the disruptions in Rajya Sabha, the BJP and the NDA stood in the support of the bill. The Congress President Rahul Gandhi constituted party's highest decision-making body, the Congress Working Committee, bringing in some new and younger faces. Party veterans such as Digvijay Singh, Janardhan Dwivedi, Sushil Kumar Shinde and Karan Singh have been dropped from the CWC. Veterans like A.K. Antony, Ahmed Patel, Ambika Soni, Motilal Vora, Ghulam Nabi Azad, Mallikarjun Kharge, Anand Sharma and Kumari Selja have been included. Among the new faces are Mukul Vasnik, Avinash Pandey, K.C. Venugopal, Deepak Babaria, Tamradhwaj Swahu, Guy Kangam and Ashok Gehlot, whom he have also made party general secretaries. The new Congress working committee include 23 regular members, 19 permanent invitees and 9 special invitees. Rahul has also convened the first meeting of the extended CWC on July 22nd to chalk out party's future strategy. The meeting will include all state unit presidents and Congress legislative party leaders from the states. Time for a very short break. More news on the other side.
Tales that inspire. Stories of social change. A salute to diversity. Promoting public discourse. Events that motivate. Inspiring the innovative spirit. Watch Rajya Sabha television documentaries.
Welcome back. The Women and Child Development Ministry is set to amend Juvenile Justice Act. The amendment will make district magistrates and collectors competent officers for approving adoptions instead of the courts. The announcement to the effect was made by Union Minister Menka Gandhi on Tuesday at National Conference of Ministers in charge of Women and Child Development Departments in the states and the Union Territories held in New Delhi. The move comes just days after cases of alleged illegal adoptions came to light in Jharkhand. Menka Gandhi also directed state governments to inspect all childcare homes run by Mother Teresa's founded Missionary of Charities after cases of alleged illegal adoptions by one such home in Ranchi came to light. TRI Chairman RS Sharma has said the apps should collect minimal data just as UIDAI does it to give 12-digit Aadhaar number to people. He said some apps are collecting more than required data and the customers are unaware of what is being done with it. He added that data minimization should be one of the principles just as UIDAI does for Aadhaar. TRI has noted that existing framework of data protection of telecom consumers is not sufficient and that all entities in the digital ecosystem which handle personal data should be brought under a data protection framework. These recommendations are expected to have wide-reaching implications for tech giants like Apple and Facebook as well as apps like Paytm. Now, the Supreme Court has asked the government to draft a new law against mob lynching, saying the onus to check such incidents lies on both the centre and the state governments. The SC's observation on Tuesday comes amid shocking number of mob lynching cases reported from various states after fake news related to child kidnappers started circulating on the WhatsApp groups.
Holding the centre and state governments accountable for mob violence and lynching, the Supreme Court on Tuesday asked them to take steps to stop the dissemination of irresponsible and flagrant content on social media platforms. The Apex Court condemned the recent lynching incidents as horrendous acts of mobocracy, while asking Parliament to enact a separate law to punish offenders accused of lynching incidents.
उन्होंने वो जजमेंट में आएंगे गाइडलाइंस प्रिवेंटिव क्यूरेटिव और अन्य गाइडलाइंस और इसके अलावा ये उन्होंने कहा है राज्य सरकारों को कि लोकतंत्र में भीड़ तंत्र का कोई स्थान नहीं हो सकता। एक जमहूरियत में इस तरह की घटनाएं नहीं हो सकती और ये राज्य सरकारों का दायित्व है कि एक सोशली इंक्लूसिव राज्य बनाए। 20 तारीख को माननीय सुप्रीम कोर्ट देखेगी कि ये जो घटनाएं हैं जो उन्होंने सजेशंस दिए वो ज़मीन पर लागू हो रहे या नहीं हो रहे।
The Supreme Court also passed 11 directives to provide preventive, remedial and punitive measures. These include designating a senior police officer not below the rank of superintendent of police in each district for taking measures to prevent incidents of mob violence, registering FIR against persons who disseminate such messages, time-bound trials within 6 months of lynching and mob violence by designated fast-track courts, and creation of a lynching and mob violence victim compensation scheme by the state government.
A new law is going to have a magic effect. If the state governments don't want to prosecute, don't want to investigate and look the other way, same fate will be met by the new law as the old one.
A 3-judge Supreme Court bench was hearing petitions filed by petitioners Tushar Gandhi and Tehseen Poonawala seeking to curb violence by cow vigilante groups. Gandhi had also filed a contempt plea against some states, accusing them of not enforcing the earlier orders of the court. Earlier this month, the Supreme Court said cases of lynching by cow vigilantes were crimes and not merely a law and order problem. Last September, the Apex Court asked all states to take stern measures to stop violence in the name of cow protection. Vipin Chauhan's report for Rajya Sabha TV.
The Supreme Court has reserved its verdict on the pleas challenging constitutional validity of Section 377 of the Indian Penal Code, which criminalizes homosexuality. A 5-judge constitution bench headed by Chief Justice Deepak Mishra concluded hearing the arguments on contentious issue after detailed hearing for 4 days, which began on July 10th. The court said it would strike down the law if it violates fundamental rights. The court also directed all parties to file written submissions in support of the claims by July 20th. In a hearing on July 12, the top court had said that social stigma and decriminalization attached to LGBTQ community would go if criminality of consensual gay sex is removed. The government had left it to the Apex Court to test the constitutional validity of Section 377. The verdict is likely to be pronounced before October 2nd this year, as Justice Mishra would be retiring as CGI on that day. The government is exploring possibility of holding panchayat elections in Jammu and Kashmir in September-October. Governor Anand Vora has directed state administration to prepare the grounds for the polls. The initiative has been taken in view of 2011 polls that saw a record 80% turnout despite continuing unrest due to militancy. Panchayat elections for 4,130 Sarpanch and 29,719 Panch constituencies in Jammu and Kashmir were last held in 2011 after a gap of nearly 4 decades. The polls to local bodies were supposed to be held in 2016 but could not be conducted due to 5-month-long unrest in the valley due to killing of Hizbul Mujahideen militant Burhan Wani. Earlier this year, Union Home Minister Rajnath Singh and National Security Advisor Ajit Doval, during their visit to Kashmir Valley, also pressed for the conduct of panchayat elections. The state is currently under governor's rule. Now, heavy rain slashed parts of Gujarat, Karnataka, Maharashtra, Madhya Pradesh, Uttarakhand and Kerala on Tuesday. In Kerala, 34,000 people have been shifted to relief camps after flood waters inundated low-lying areas due to heavy rains that have lashed for past 1 week. A 45-member NDRF team has been deployed to carry out relief operations, while in Gujarat, 2 persons, including a schoolboy, drowned as incessant rains lashed Saurashtra and South Gujarat regions. Officials said 3,500 people have been shifted to safer places in different districts of the state. Prime Minister Modi's scheduled visit to Gujarat on July 20th has also been postponed due to heavy rains. In Pune, Khadagwasla Dam has been overflowing following heavy rains in the region. It has released around 28,000 cusecs of waters in 2 days. Rains have also been reported in several parts of Coorg districts in Karnataka. In the Madhya Pradesh capital too received heavy rainfall. The IMD also announced a heavy rainfall alert for Bhopal, Hoshangabad, Indore, Ujjain, Sagar and adjoining areas. Now let's take a look at what else is making news in the nationwide. The centre has increased official maximum load carrying capacity of heavy vehicles, including trucks, by 20 to 25%, besides scrapping the mandatory annual renewal of fitness certificates for freight carriers. Road Transport Minister Nitin Gadkari said it would help reducing logistics cost. At least 19 fishermen have gone missing after their trawlers capsized in Bay of Bengal. 3 trawlers capsized in rough seas and 47 fishermen fell into the water. Of them, 28 were rescued by other trawlers, while there has been no trace of 19 others despite a day-long search. A hovercraft and an airplane of Coast Guard have been pressed into service to look for the missing persons. Drones of civilian purpose are likely to start flying from October as Civil Aviation Ministry expects to put in place regulatory framework for unmanned aerial vehicles soon. According to draft regulations, drones would require unique identification numbers. Also, there would be no drone zone across the country, including in areas that are 50 kilometers from international border. Now, 3 people have been killed and several others are trapped after an under-construction building collapsed in Greater Noida near National Capital. At least 12 labourers were there inside 6-storey building, and they have been built. Police and NDRF are carrying out rescue operations. Uttar Pradesh Chief Minister Yogi Adityanath has directed Gautam Budh Nagar District Magistrate and police to monitor relief and rescue activities along with the NDRF team. Now moving on to international news, Turkey's state of emergency in place since the failed coup in July 2016 is set to elapse today. But there are concerns that the government will maintain draconian measures under a different guise. Turkey's Justice Minister confirmed that imminent end to emergency rule, a move broadly welcomed. Human rights groups say that under emergency powers, more than 150 journalists were jailed and newspaper outlets, television and radio stations seized. Tens of thousands of prosecutors and judges along with academics were detained for or removed from their post. With emergency rule to be lifted, attention in Turkey will now turn to economy, which is looking increasingly problematic. Now, US President Donald Trump has said he accepts US intelligence agency conclusion that Russia interfered in 2016 elections, despite declining to do so just a day ago. Trump said he had misspoken on Monday and had meant to say that he saw no reasons why it wasn't Russia that meddled. The original comments after he met Russian President Vladimir Putin in Helsinki drew a barrage of criticism. Even some of Trump's allies had urged him to clarify his stand. Republicans and Democrats alike were surprised after Trump's remarks.
I have full faith and support for America's great intelligence agencies, always had. And I've said this many times, I accept our intelligence community's conclusion that Russia's meddling in the 2016 election took place. I realize that there is a need for some clarification. It should have been obvious. I thought it would be obvious, but I would like to clarify just in case it wasn't. In a key sentence in my remarks, I said the word would instead of wouldn't. The sentence should have been, I don't see any reason why I wouldn't or why it wouldn't be Russia.
And in sports, an unbeaten 186-run partnership between Joe Root and Eoin Morgan powered England to 8-wicket victory over India in third and the final ODI at Headingley, Leeds on Tuesday. The hosts clinched the 3-match ODI series 2-1 for the first series win over India in 7 years. England's victory also ended India's run of consecutive one-day series victories. Morgan, after winning the toss, elected to field as England bowlers produced a disciplined bowling performance to restrict the host to 256 for 8 in 50 overs. Indian captain Virat Kohli top scored for India with 71 runs. In reply, England overhauled the target with just 44.3 overs, with Joe Root unbeaten on 100 and skipper Eoin Morgan 88 not out. India's Greco-Roman wrestler Sajan emerged champion in 77 kg category of the Junior Asian Western Wrestling Championship on Tuesday. As a host bagged total of 4 medals on day 1. 4 of 5 Indian wrestlers entering the event came back with medals and opted out because of an injury. Apart from Sajan, Vijay Aryan, Pawan Pawar and Kumar Sunil won 2 silver and 1 bronze in their respective weight categories as well. That's it for now. Keep watching Rajya Sabha TV for more. Thank you.